Midnight, December 24th, 1823. Charleston lies under a veil of frost. The church bell strikes 12, each toll echoing like a funeral drum. In the Harrington mansion, candles gutter against the draft, throwing shadows that dance like ghosts across the walls. A lullaby drifts faintly from the quarters outside, cracked and mournful. Then, silence. A single scream tears the night apart. Steel strikes wood, then flesh. Blood spatters across whitewashed walls like ink upon parchment. The bell tolls again. The city sleeps on. But before dawn, 4 children will lie quartered, and 1 woman's name will become a legend. Midnight, December 24th, 1823. Charleston lies under a veil of frost. The church bell strikes 12, each toll echoing like a funeral drum. In the Harrington mansion, candles gutter against the draft, throwing shadows that dance like ghosts across the walls. A lullaby drifts faintly from the quarters outside, cracked and mournful. Then, silence. A single scream tears the night apart. Steel strikes wood, then flesh. Blood spatters across whitewashed walls like ink upon parchment. The bell tolls again. The city sleeps on. But before dawn, 4 children will lie quartered, and 1 woman's name will become a legend. Charleston wakes under a brittle winter sun. Frost clings to the cobblestones and the air smells of smoke, brine, and pine. Wagons creak along Meeting Street, their wheels biting into the frozen dirt. From the harbor, gulls circle over slave ships still docked, their sails limp in the cold wind. The Harrington mansion looms above the street like a fortress, its tall windows shuttered against the morning chill. Elias Boone, the overseer, stomps across the yard, whip coiled at his side. His boots crunch on the frost, his voice carries sharp and cruel. "Move faster, girl. Christmas don't slow work, not for your kind." Sarah Miles, no more than 16, struggles with a basket of firewood. Her hands are raw, fingertips split from cold. She lowers her head but doesn't quicken her pace. "I'm moving, sir," she whispers. Boone spits into the snow, leaving a dark stain. He watches her, eyes narrowed, his jaw working like he's chewing on a secret. "You hear the bells last night?" he asks. Sarah hesitates. "I hear them every night. Not the bells, the scream." Boone leans closer, his breath sour with whiskey. "Thought I heard something carried on the wind. Sharp, like a hog being split." Sarah's grip tightens on the basket. She doesn't look at him. "Maybe just the wind, sir." Boone chuckles low. "Wind don't sound like that." He flicks the whip against his boot, lazy, like a man swatting flies. "Mark me, girl. Something stirred in that house last night." She dares a glance at the mansion. The shutters are still drawn, smoke rising thin from a single chimney. Normally, by Christmas morning, the house would ring with music. Servants rushing, children laughing. But today, silence hangs heavy. Boone follows her gaze. "Strange, ain't it? A Lord's house gone quiet, no carols, no candles." Sarah's voice trembles. Maybe they're still asleep. Maybe. Boone scratches his beard. Or maybe sleep ain't what holds them. A crow caws from the roof, its black wings scattering frost. Sarah sets down the basket, flexing her aching hands. "Sir, if it please you, I'll fetch more wood." Boone studies her a long moment, then waves her off with a grunt. "Go, but keep your ears sharp. Place like this, secrets don't stay buried long." She hurries away, skirts brushing snow, her heart hammering. She doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to believe it, but she knows Boone's right. Something inside the Harrington mansion shifted in the night. The shutters creak against the wind, a pane of glass rattles. Somewhere deep inside, a door slams shut, and for the first time, Sarah Miles feels the cold not on her skin, but in her bones. The year is 1812. Charleston's air is thick with the smell of rice fields and salt marsh. Children's voices rise faintly from the quarters, a broken lullaby sung by weary throats. The Harrington estate glows with candlelight, its grandeur casting shadows over those who serve it. In the kitchen, a young Mary Whitlock kneels by the hearth. Her hands are small but calloused, her face smeared with ash. Around her neck hangs a silver locket, dull and scratched, yet she touches it often as though it holds her together. Her younger sister, Clara, huddles nearby, coughing softly into a rag. Her ribbon, once blue, is faded to gray, tied crookedly in her hair. "Mary," Clara whispers, her voice weak. "Sing it for me, the lullaby Mama used to." Mary shakes her head, eyes darting toward the doorway. "Not tonight, Clara. Overseer's drunk. He'll hear." But it makes the coughing stop. Clara tugs the ribbon, restless. "Please." Mary strokes her sister's hair and finally hums a few trembling notes. The sound is fragile, barely carrying over the crackle of the fire. The door bursts open. Elias Boone, younger but already cruel-eyed, lumbers in with a jug of whiskey. "What's this noise? Thought I told you rats to keep quiet." He swings the whip against the doorframe, splintering wood. Mary freezes, pulling Clara close. "She's sick, sir. I was just... don't care what she is." Boone staggers forward, seizing Mary's wrist. His grip grinds bone. Quiet means quiet. Before his strike lands, another voice cuts sharp across the room. "Enough, Boone." Lord William Harrington stands tall in the doorway, every inch polished authority. His coat gleams with brass buttons. His ivory-tipped cane taps once against the floor. His voice drips calm, but beneath it coils menace. Boone drops Mary's wrist, bowing slightly. "Beg pardon, my lord. Just keep in order." Harrington steps closer, eyes scanning Mary as though she were livestock. "Order, yes, but even cattle must work, not if they're broken." He tilts her chin up with the tip of the cane. His smile is practiced, cold. "This one's strong, not to be wasted." Mary doesn't move, doesn't blink. The firelight reflects in her dark eyes like coals waiting to burn. Clara coughs violently, drawing Harrington's glance. He waves a hand, dismissive. "That one won't last. Fragile stock." Mary clutches her sister tighter. "She'll last," she says softly, voice shaking but defiant. Harrington's smile widens. "We'll see." He turns, coat-tails sweeping, and strides away. Boone follows like a shadow, licking his lips. The kitchen falls silent except for Clara's ragged breath. Mary presses the locket to her lips. "You'll last, Clara. You'll see. I'll keep you safe." Years turn like pages in a ledger. By 1817, Mary works inside the mansion, carrying trays of crystal glasses, her back straight, her gaze lowered. Clara, thinner but still alive, is kept mostly in the quarters, her cough worsening with each season. One evening, Clara sneaks into the mansion's back hallway to see her sister. Her ribbon slips from her hair, trailing in the dust. "Mary," she whispers, clutching her chest. "Do you ever think Mama's watching?" Mary kneels, retrieving the ribbon, tying it carefully. "Every time I close my eyes." "And Papa too?" Mary nods, though she barely remembers him. "Papa too." Their moment is broken by Harrington's voice booming from the parlor. "Where's that brandy?" Mary stiffens, shoving Clara toward the shadows. "Go," before he sees, but it's too late. Harrington steps into the hall, cane striking the floor. His gaze falls on Clara. "You again?" His tone is sharp, annoyed. "Didn't I say you were weak? Get her out, Mary. I won't have sickness under my roof." Clara clutches Mary's hand. "Don't leave me." Mary's chest tightens, fury boiling beneath her calm face. "She's my sister." Harrington leans close, voice a whisper dripping venom. "Everything here belongs to me, even your sister." The words carve themselves into Mary's memory like scars. Later that night, she sits beside Clara in the dim quarters. Clara drifts to sleep against her shoulder. Mary touches the locket, whispering into the darkness. "I'll never let him take you. Never." The wind rattles the shutters. The whip cracks outside. The lullaby rises again, softer, slower, a promise in broken song. And in Mary's silence, something hardens. Something. The year turns to 1819. Charleston's winter is damp, heavy with fog that rolls in from the harbor. The Harrington mansion glows warm from within, a golden cage towering over cold streets. Mary, now a young woman, moves silently through its halls, carrying a silver tray of wine. Her locket glints faintly against her dark dress. From the parlor drifts the sound of a piano, delicate but unsteady. Eleanor Harrington, pale and soft-voiced, sits at the keys, her hands trembling over the ivories. A white handkerchief embroidered with red thread lies folded at her side. She looks up as Mary enters. You walk quieter than the rest, like a ghost. Mary lowers her eyes. I didn't mean to startle, ma'am. You didn't. You soothe. Eleanor's voice is wistful, almost childlike. She studies Mary. Tell me, do you ever sing? Mary hesitates. Only for my sister. Then she's blessed. I used to sing once, before. Eleanor's words trail into silence. She touches the handkerchief as though it were a wound. Mary sets the tray down. Would you like me to fetch Lord Harrington, ma'am? No. Eleanor's answer is sharp, sudden, then softer. No. Leave him to his brandy. For a moment, the two women share a silence heavy with things unsaid. Eleanor's eyes glisten, and Mary wonders if pity and fear can live together in one heart. Later that week, Mary slips to the quarters after dusk. Smoke drifts from old Ruth's cabin, carrying the bittersweet scent of dried herbs. Inside, bundles of sage and willow hang from the rafters, their shadows swaying like silent watchers. Old Ruth sits hunched at the hearth, her hands gnarled, her eyes clouded but sharp. She stirs a pot, muttering words in a tongue older than Charleston itself. You're late, child, Ruth rasps, not turning. The moon's been waitin'. Mary kneels by the fire. I had to serve at the mansion. They watch me close. Then, you watch closer. Ruth sprinkles powder into the pot. It hisses, smoke rising in strange shapes. Men like Harrington, eyes everywhere, but souls blind as stones. Mary fingers her locket, watching the smoke twist. Teach me more. Ruth chuckles low. More herbs, more secrets, more ways to turn their own cruelty back on them. But secrets ain't free, child, they weigh. I can carry weight. Mary's voice is steady, though her hands tremble. Ruth finally looks at her, eyes glinting, through cataract haze. You'll need more than herbs. You'll need patience. Vengeance don't grow fast, it roots deep. Mary nods, committing every word to memory, but patience wavers when the heart is raw. Weeks later, at the Charleston docks, Mary lingers as wagons load with crates bound south. Among the workers stands Daniel, the dockhand she loves, broad-shouldered, quick to laugh, eyes gentle even after long days of toil. He catches her hand as she passes. You're too quiet, Mary. Tell me something true. She smiles faintly. I think of you when the night is long, and I think of you always. He slips a small wooden carving into her palm, two hands clasped. One day, when I'm free of these chains, I'll find you. We'll have a place where no man owns our time. Her eyes glisten. She opens her mouth to answer, but the crack of a whip cuts across the docks. Elias Boone strides forward, sneer curling his lips. This one? He jabs his whip at Daniel. Sold south. Lord Harrington says the price is good. Mary's world shatters in a breath. Daniel grips her hand, tighter, then lets go. Remember me, he says softly. The overseer shoves him toward the waiting wagon. Mary reaches out, but Boone blocks her path with the lash. Her cry is swallowed by gulls and waves. That night she sits in Ruth's cabin, silent as stone. Ruth watches her, sighing deep. Loss cuts deep, child, makes fire in the belly. Mary finally speaks, her voice low and flat. Then let it burn. The fire crackles, the herbs hiss, and the vow takes root. Charleston, 1821. A winter storm beats against the Harrington mansion, rattling shutters like bones in a coffin. Inside, laughter and shouting spill from the parlor, thick with cigar smoke and spilled brandy. At the gaming table sits Lord William Harrington, ivory cane resting beside his chair. Across from him, Samuel Briggs rolls dice with a smirk. His hands are stained yellow with tobacco, and he taps the table with a coin, a nervous rhythm that never stops. "You'll lose your fortune, William," Briggs chuckles. "One more throw, and I'll own your land." Harrington smirks, eyes glassy with drink. "I never lose." He hurls the dice across the table. They clatter, spin, and fall. Snake eyes. Briggs laughs, slamming the table. "A debt's a debt." Harrington's smile falters. He wipes sweat from his brow. "Name your price." Briggs leans back, savoring the moment. The girl, the sickly one, Clara. The room stills. Even Boone, leaning in the corner with his whip coiled like a serpent, shifts uneasily. Harrington raises an eyebrow. "You'd take damaged stock?" Briggs shrugs. "Weak or not, she fetches coin down river, and I like my winnings clean." Harrington hesitates only a moment. Then he laughs, a hollow sound. "Done. She's yours." A servant gasps from the doorway. It is Sarah Miles, tray trembling in her hands. The brandy sloshes over the rim. Harrington snaps. "Out, girl!" She flees, but not before her wide eyes meet Mary's, standing just beyond the threshold. Mary steps forward, her face, pale, locket clutched tight in her hand. "No." Her voice is calm, steady, but her whole body trembles. "Not Clara." Harrington waves her off like smoke. "She's not yours to keep. Nothing here is." Briggs grins, rolling the coin across his knuckles. "Fetch her, Boone. I want my prize." Boone nods, moving toward the quarters. Mary blocks his path. "She'll die on that road, you know she will." Boone sneers. "Not my concern." He shoves her aside. Mary stumbles but doesn't fall. "Lord Harrington," she pleads, voice breaking. "She is all I have." Harrington swirls his brandy, gaze fixed on the fire. "Then you have nothing." The words strike like a blade. Later, under a cold dawn, Clara is dragged to the wagon. Her ribbon falls in the mud. She coughs, eyes wide with terror. "Mary!" she cries, reaching out. Mary runs, clutching the ribbon, but Boone blocks her again, the whip cracks, snapping inches from her face. Clara is heaved into the wagon, Briggs grinning as he counts coins. The wheels groan, rolling away, carrying Mary's sister into the shadows of the south. Mary collapses to her knees, mud soaking her dress. She presses the ribbon to her lips, tears burning her cheeks. Behind her, Harrington steps from the doorway, cane tapping against the stone. His voice is cool, cruel. "She was never yours to keep. Nothing here is." The wagon disappears down the road. The ribbon shakes in Mary's hands, and the fire in her chest finally roars to life. The winter of 1822 smothers Charleston in gray fog. The Harrington mansion glitters with wealth, yet inside, shadows fester. Mary no longer walks with bowed head. She moves silent, deliberate, each step a thought sharpened into steel. In the Uri pantry, she tests dried herbs Ruth once gave her, grinding them into powder. The smell is acrid, bitter, clinging to her skin. A voice behind her makes her freeze. "What's that you got there?" Elias Boone leans in the doorway, arms folded, whip dangling like a snake. His eyes flicker to the mortar and pestle. "Spices," Mary answers smoothly, sliding the bowl aside. Boone smirks. "Smells foul for spices. Lord Harrington don't like experiments." Mary lifts her chin. "And you don't like questions." Boone's smirk fades. He steps closer, looming. "Careful, girl." Sharp tongue cuts quick. She meets his gaze without blinking. For the first time, Boone shifts, uncomfortably. He spits on the floor, muttering, and leaves. Mary exhales slowly. She presses the locket against her chest, whispering, "For Clara." Days later, in the stables, Jacob Miles polishes a horseshoe with quick, nervous hands. Younger than Mary, but sharp-eyed, he watches her slip inside. "You shouldn't be here," he says quietly. Boone's been sniffing after you like a hound. Mary glances around, lowering her voice. Then let him sniff. I need your help. Jacob frowns. Help with what? She pulls the ribbon from her pocket. Clara's ribbon, still stained with mud. She holds it up like a relic. I won't let her be forgotten. His jaw tightens. What can a stable boy do? Keep your eyes open. Watch the overseer. Watch the Lord. Tell me when they grow careless. Jacob hesitates, then nods. He pulls a small, bent horseshoe from his pocket. Found this tossed aside. Broken, but it'll bring you luck. Or curse him, depending how you use it. Mary takes it, hiding it in her apron. Then curse it is. On Sunday, the chapel swells with voices. Daniel Price, the preacher, raises his arms high, his voice booming through the candlelit space. His Bible lies open, wax from dripping candles staining the pages. The wages of sin is death, he cries, eyes scanning the congregation. Repent, or fire shall consume the wicked. Mary sits in the back pew, face calm, eyes steady on him. After service, she lingers as the congregation files out. Daniel approaches, his tone softer. You carry sorrow, sister. I see it heavy upon you. Mary replies, measured. And what does your God say to those who suffer without cause? Daniel presses his Bible to his chest. He tests them, so their reward may be greater. Mary's lips tighten. And if the wicked prosper, fat on stolen lives? Where is the fire then? Daniel shifts, unease flickering in his eyes. Judgment comes in its own time. Mary steps closer, her voice like steel wrapped in silk. Then perhaps judgment needs a hand. Daniel recoils, clutching his Bible. Careful, child. Sin answered with sin only multiplies. Mary leaves him standing in the cold chapel, candle smoke curling around him like ghosts. That night she visits her cousin Nora in the quarters. Nora rocks a baby on her lap, humming a lullaby soft and sweet. Her voice is cracked but tender, weaving the same song their mothers once sang. Mary kneels beside her. Don't stop. Nora glances at her, eyes wary. Your face, Mary. It's changed. Mary takes the child's hand, stroking it gently. The song. It's the only thing that feels pure. Nora studies her a long moment. What are you planning? Mary doesn't answer. She only looks at the fire, where sparks jump like blood-red stars. Nora sighs. I'll say nothing. But remember, the child in your arms tonight may be someone's Clara tomorrow. Don't let darkness eat what's left of your light. Mary kisses the baby's forehead, her eyes shining but hard. Clara's light is gone. All I have left is the fire. A week later, another near catch. Sarah Miles creeps through the mansion hall at night, carrying linens. She stops when she sees Mary standing in the nursery doorway. The Harrington children lie asleep, their breath slow, faces innocent. Mary's hand rests on the axe propped against the wall, her eyes fixed on them. Mary, Sarah whispers, voice trembling. Mary turns, calm, unreadable, just watching. They sleep so soundly. Sarah backs away, clutching the linens. You scare me. Mary steps past her, brushing her shoulder. Good. Fear sees clearer than love. Sarah doesn't sleep that night. Winter deepens. The mansion readies for Christmas, wreaths hung, candles polished. But beneath the holly and pine, Mary sharpens her resolve like a blade, and in the silence of her heart, the plan takes form. The Harrington mansion glows against the night, candles in every window, wreaths hanging heavy with holly. Carols drift faintly from the parlor, laughter riding on waves of brandy and smoke. Outside, the air is sharp with pine and frost. Inside the kitchen, Mary ties Clara's ribbon into her hair. She touches her locket, whispers into the silence. Tonight, Clara, tonight they remember you. The clock strikes 11. In the parlor, Lord Harrington lifts a glass, ivory cane propped against his chair. Eleanor sits stiff at the piano, playing half-heartedly. notes faltering. Boone hovers in the corner, eyes glassy, whip coiled at his hip. The children tumble on the carpet with wooden toys, their laughter high and piercing. Mary enters, carrying a tray of mulled wine. The scent of cloves and cinnamon masks the bitterness beneath. She sets the glasses on the table. Harrington raises his glass, nodding at her. For Christmas, and for fortune. Mary bows slightly. Drink well, my lord. The fee. Family drinks. Boone gulps greedily, wiping his mouth with his sleeve. Eleanor sips, grimacing faintly at the taste. The children make faces but obey. Moments pass. A cough. Then another. Harrington's brow furrows. Boone slams his glass down, clutching his gut. Eleanor sways on the bench, her handkerchief slipping to the floor. What is this? Harrington snarls, voice strained. Mary steps forward, eyes burning. Justice. Boone staggers toward her, whip half raised. He collapses before he reaches her, foam bubbling at his lips. His body jerks once, twice, then stills. The children cry out, confused, frightened. Eleanor gasps for breath, her pale face slick with sweat. Harrington grips the edge of the table, fury blazing through the sickness. You. Treacherous. Mary's hand closes around the axe propped by the hearth. Its blade glints in the candlelight. She lifts it high, voice steady. You said I had nothing. Tonight, I take everything. The first blow falls with a crack, like splitting wood. Harrington's cane clatters to the floor. Blood spatters across the feast table, staining the white linen red. Eleanor screams, stumbling from the piano. She crawls toward her husband, but Mary's shadow looms over her. You watched. You stayed silent. Mary's voice trembles with fury. Silence is guilt. The axe falls again. Eleanor's handkerchief soaks crimson. The children huddle together, sobbing. Mary turns, her chest heaving, axe dripping. She hesitates, the ribbon brushing her cheek. For a moment, Clara's face flickers in her mind. The cough, the fragile smile. One of the children whispers, Please, don't. Mary's jaw tightens. She kneels, pressing the locket to her lips. Forgive me, Clara. The lullaby rises from her throat, trembling and cracked. She hums as she lifts the axe once more. The music of Christmas drowns in the sound of steel and screams. The house burns with silence when it is done. The fire in the hearth spits and crackles. The table lies overturned, glasses shattered, brandy mingling with blood on the polished floor. Mary stands in the center, her dress soaked, ribbon loose, axe heavy in her hands. Her breath comes ragged, but her eyes are calm. The door creaks. Sarah Miles stands frozen in the hall, linens clutched to her chest. Her face is pale as chalk. Mary. Her voice breaks. What have you done? Mary turns slowly, meeting her gaze. I kept my promise. Sarah trembles, tears streaming. They'll hang you, they'll tear you apart. Mary steps forward, pressing the bloodied ribbon into Sarah's hand. Then let them, but don't forget. Promise me, Sarah. Don't let them forget. Sarah stares at the ribbon, fingers trembling. I promise. Mary looks back at the bodies, the wreckage of power shattered in one night. She raises the axe one final time, slamming it into Harrington's ivory cane, splitting it clean in two. The clock strikes midnight. Christmas Day is born in blood. Outside, snow begins to fall over Charleston, soft and silent. The Harrington mansion stands tall, but within its walls the echoes of chains, fire, and lullabies linger. And Mary, bathed in shadows, breathes the cold night air as though it were freedom. The sun rises pale and cold over Charleston. The Harrington mansion, once a fortress of power, now stinks of smoke and iron. Blood still stains the floorboards, dark patches seeping into the grain. Mary sits in chains on the porch, hands bound, face calm. Soldiers guard her, muskets gleaming. A crowd gathers, some weeping, some whispering, some staring with eyes wide in fear. Sarah Miles hides in the back, ribbon clutched in her fist, unable to speak. At the courthouse, the trial begins. The chamber groans with bodies packed shoulder to shoulder, the air hot and fetid with sweat and smoke. The judge's gavel cracks like thunder. Mary Whitlock, you stand accused of murder most foul. Do you deny it? Mary lifts her head. Her voice is clear. I deny nothing. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Lord Harrington's cousin Edward rises from the bench, his silk waistcoat shining. She butchered them. The Lord, his wife, his innocent children. If this is not wickedness, what is? Murmurs surge. Some nod. Some avert their eyes. Mary's gaze locks on him. He sold my sister like cattle. He bled her life into the dirt. And you call me wicked? The judge slams his gavel. Silence. Witnesses are called. Elias Boone cannot testify. His body lies cold in the grave. Instead, Sarah is forced forward, trembling. The bailiff barks, "Speak, girl, tell what you saw." Sarah's voice cracks. I saw her with the axe." "Did she strike?" "Yes." A sob escapes her throat. But she sang while she did it. A lullaby. Not madness, not rage, something else. Gasps echo. The judge frowns. Enough. Mary's eyes soften on Sarah. She mouths, "Thank you." The oppressors take their turn. Samuel Briggs slams his fist on the rail. "If this stands, none of us are safe." A servant raising hand against a master. The whole order crumbles. She must hang. She must burn. The planter class cheers him, their voices sharp with fear. Daniel Price, the preacher, rises slowly. His wax-stained Bible trembles in his grip. "Sin cannot birth justice. Vengeance is not righteousness. The Lord alone punishes the wicked." Mary glares at him. "Then where was your Lord when Clara was sold? When Daniel was whipped? When children starved while Harrington feasted?" The Montague court erupts, half in outrage, half in silence. From the quarters, old Ruth hobbles to the stand, leaning on her staff. Her voice is cracked but steady. "She did what all of us dream. She cut the chains, though they wrapped her throat." The judge sneers. "Witchcraft, poison, rebellion." Ruth spits on the floor. "Truth." Guards drag her away. The crowd, jeering. But her words linger like smoke. At the verdict, the judge speaks heavy, final. "Mary Whitlock, for the crimes of murder and treason, you are sentenced to death by hanging. May God have mercy on your soul." The gavel falls. The chamber roars. Mary stands tall, chains rattling. Her voice cuts through the chaos. "God may have mercy, but I do not." The gallows are raised in the square. The crowd swarms, eager, horrified, hungry for spectacle. Children climb barrels, men shove for a closer view. Mary is led forward, white hood draped in the hangman's hands. Her locket dangles against her chest, glinting in the sun. Jacob Miles pushes through the crowd, shouting, "She's no murderer. She's justice." Guards beat him back, fists cracking bone, but his cry ripples outward. Others take it up in hushed tones. "Justice. Justice." The preacher mutters prayers. Briggs curses. Sarah weeps silently. Mary mounts the scaffold without faltering. She looks over the sea of faces, masters, slaves, poor, rich, all watching. She speaks loud, clear, unshaken. "They said I had nothing. But I had a sister, I had love, and you took it. Tonight I leave you nothing, nothing but truth." The noose slips around her neck. The hangman pulls the lever. The crowd gasps. The rope snaps tight. But silence follows. Not jeers, not cheers, just silence. That night, whispers scatter through Charleston. Some say she died smiling. Some say the rope broke twice before it held. Some swear the lullaby carried on the wind long after her body stilled. In the quarters, old Ruth tends a fire, muttering, "She lit the spark. They'll remember." In the mansion ruins, Eleanor's handkerchief lies forgotten in the ash. The ivory cane, split in two, rests where it fell, and in Sarah's hand the ribbon trembles as she hums the lullaby through her tears. In the weeks after the hanging, Charleston tries to bury Mary Whitlock. The Harrington name is scrubbed in newspapers, their mansion rebuilt with fresh plaster, their coffins lowered beneath marble. Officials call it madness, nothing more. A servant's fever dream of vengeance. But silence does not hold. Into. The market's whispers weave through the stalls. A fisherman tells his son. They say her body swung for 3 days and never stiffened. The devil kept her alive. A washerwoman, folding linen by the river, shakes her head. No devil. A saint. She sang a lullaby, and chains broke in the night. Children dare each other to walk past the gallows post after dark, swearing they hear humming in the wind. Some claim they see a woman in a blood-soaked dress walking the waterfront, axe in hand, ribbon fluttering like flame. Among the planter class, fear grows thick. Samuel Briggs writes to the governor, "If such tales persist, they'll rot the roots of order. Already I hear mutterings among my own men. They speak of justice, not obedience." In parlors over brandy and pipe smoke, men sneer, "She was nothing but a mad negress." But their eyes dart to the shadows uneasy. Eleanor Harrington's kin insist the family was martyred, their portraits draped in black. A cousin commissions a sermon painting, a pale Eleanor clutching her children in heaven, a dark figure, Mary, banished to flame below. But even as they paint her damned, her name clings like smoke. In the quarters, her story grows bolder with each telling. Old Ruth gathers children by the fire, voice low but fierce. She held the axe, yes, but it weren't steel alone. She carried the weight of every chain, every whip crack, every cry you ever heard in the night. She carried us. The children listen wide-eyed. Some clutch scraps of cloth tied like ribbons around their wrists. One boy whispers, "If they strike me, I'll strike back." Ruth nods. Remember her name, but don't shout it yet. A spark grows quiet before it grows loud. In the churchyard, Daniel Price delivers sermons twice as long, his Bible shaking in his hands. "The wages of sin is death," he proclaims, voice ragged. "You saw, at the gallows bore her, God does not bless vengeance," but behind him, in pews worn thin, women murmur the lullaby under their breath. Their voices rise soft, a counter-sermon woven through the air. Daniel hears them. His voice falters. A year passes. On Christmas Eve, Sarah Miles lights a single candle. In her window, she hums the lullaby as the flame flickers. Neighbors notice. Some join. Soon a row of faint lights glimmers along the street, each one a silent rebellion, a secret vigil. The overseers do not understand. They only see candles. But those who know remember. By the second year, sailors carry the tale upriver. In Savannah, New Orleans, even far off Boston, taverns hum with the legend of Mary of Charleston, the woman who quartered the Lord and his children with an axe on Christmas Eve. Some call her a monster, some a martyr. Some raise toasts in her name, slamming mugs on wooden tables. Others spit curses, muttering she cursed the land itself. But all agree on one thing: her name is not forgotten. And in the quarters, where chains still clink in the dark, the lullaby lingers. A child sings it while rocking her baby brother. A young man whistles it while sharpening a hidden blade. An old woman hums it while stirring a pot of herbs. The fire she lit flickers quietly, waiting for wind. History is not written in ink alone. It is carved in scars, in broken chains, in lullabies sung through tears. Mary Whitlock's name was buried beneath gallows, mocked in sermons, cursed in the papers. Yet her shadow lived on. What is justice? Is it a court's decree, polished and final? Or the desperate cry of the voiceless when no ear will listen? Mary's axe was not only steel, it was memory. Every swing bore the weight of Clara's cough, Ruth's cracked hands, Jacob's bent, horseshoe, Sarah's silence, Nora's lullaby, symbols of lives crushed under order, then forced to bloom in fire. She killed without mercy. Children, too. Innocents who bore no whip, who signed no bill of sale. For that, history calls her monstrous. But history also knows, monsters are made, not born. The plantation's walls were built on blood. Mary's hands simply showed it. Perhaps justice is not clean. Perhaps it never was. Justice is messy, jagged, dripping red. It does not soothe, it burns. It does not forget. It haunts, and so Charleston remembers her not with marble but with whispers, with fear, with fire, with a ribbon passed hand to hand, threadbare but unbroken. Mary's story forces us to look in the mirror of history and ask, when chains rattle in silence, who will swing the axe? Mary of Charleston is more than a ghost story. She is a question that refuses to die. If you were her, trapped, grieving, silenced, what would you have done? Would you beg for mercy from men who never gave it? Would you wait for justice that never came? Or would you take the axe, no matter the cost? Her story is not about answers, it is about choices. About the breaking point where silence shatters into scream, where lullabies turn into battle hymns. Charleston tried to erase her, but legends cannot be erased. They cling like smoke to rafters, like blood to wood. Mary forces us to face the fire we inherit and the fire we may yet strike. So I leave you with this. When justice sleeps, who will wake it? And when it wakes, what face will it wear? If you believe history's forgotten voices deserve to be heard, if you believe stories like Mary's should never vanish into silence, then join us. Subscribe, share, and keep the fire alive. Because some names deserve not to be forgotten, and Mary Whitlock is one of them.